Let's bring on Will Blackmon, Super Bowl champion, one of my favorite people, 12 NFL seasons.
What's up, guy?
He's a fourth rounder. That's why you're such a grinder, by the way. You were ignored by a lot of these scouts. Not on this show. We never ignore you.
You know what's funny is, speaking of that, going to like games, like we played the Cardinals last year when I was on the Washington Redskins. I played for the Redskins.
Yes.
And I forget who it was, but one of the scouts were like, "Yeah, man, we had a second round grade on you."
Why didn't they take you?
Yeah, I know. It's funny when you hear all that.
Yeah.
I took a pre-draft visit to the Steelers because Bill Cowherd liked me as a receiver because they had the 32 pick in the first round. So it's just funny. They ended up getting Santonio Holmes. It worked out, so it's all good.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
You did, yeah.
So, you had Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
So I have said.
By the way, they just got rid of all his homeboys in Dallas.
He got rid of some coaches.
Like guys that had been with him when I got drafted.
Okay, so that means he's staying. Jerry asked for changes. Jerry wanted some changes. You're not changing Dan Quinn.
No, of course not.
So Jerry basically went to him and said, Mike, you got to make some changes here. So he did. He probably didn't want to, but he did. So I've defended him. And one of the reasons I've defended him is he got beat up so badly in the Aaron Rodgers divorce. Well, Aaron's struggling at the end, last couple years, at the end of the year, and Mike's got Cooper Rush going 4-1. When you look at the Niners in that last play, it looks ridiculous. You're a film junkie. You sit on your phone all day with film. When you look at Dallas,
right?
Do they look well coached on film?
Here's the thing. I think they can be too simple when they need to be creative.
Okay. And
they can be too creative when they need to be simple.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's why they have a lot of penalties. Are they trying too hard sometimes?
Yeah. I would say, especially in that game, when they lost Tony Pollard, that was massive because he's their number one home run hitter on offense. So that's why it was interesting in halftime when Coach McCarthy was asked, like, will things change? And he said, no, we're not going to change anything. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, a lot's going to change because you don't have that home run hitter. You can line up all over the field. And I felt like maybe they try to use some of the creative runs with Zeke. I mean, right now, that's not what Zeke does.
He's a short yardage back now. You're not getting any pop from him.
And to his credit, it's like he hasn't been as healthy as he has been the past 3 years, I would say. And then in terms of using CeeDee Lamb, it's kind of like guys were just spying on him. I mean, he had a lot of receptions. He was a big reason why they were still in that game. But it almost looked like he got exhausted towards the end of the game in terms of him having to work so hard because his routes weren't as crisp, as the game went on.
Okay.
I feel like in this offseason, the things that CD can work on, I was big on like, okay, he's super gifted in terms of like the things he can do athletically. I still go back to that catch he made with Oklahoma, the one-hander on the sideline.
Well, he made a catch against the Niners up the sideline. That was unbelievable.
Right. And I just feel like strength is massive. He should get way stronger, and then just learn how to just be crisp in his routes for a full 60 minutes. Yeah. So it was tough. They got Dalton Schultz, ready in the red zone.
They don't look poorly coached when you look at your film.
They don't. So to answer your question, they don't look poorly coached. I just feel like in terms of just keeping it simple, because the one thing that Dallas has athletes all over the field, and I don't know. Sometimes you just got to line up and just like punch somebody in the face,
right?
Versus trying to be super creative.
So you faced a lot of quarterbacks. You played Packers, Giants, Jags, Washington, and it happens a lot. Kyle Allen in Carolina gets a month or 5 starts, and he kind of wows us.
For
Taylor
sure,
Heineke. But there's a reason they got drafted lower, undersized, average arm. We're all falling for Brock Purdy, but in the end, he went to Iowa State. He's 6'1", about 215.
He's first team Big 12.
Listen,
he got some accolades. It wasn't like he was out there
By the way, they were 1-3 his freshman year. He took over. They went 7-1.
No doubt.
He's a gamer. But when you face these guys that they get inserted in, they're later round picks, you at some point know you can jump a route. I mean, when you look at Purdy, what are the things you see that you're like, okay, that's a hole, that's what he doesn't do? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean...
Again, you look at film about as much as any former player.
But especially when I look at the quarterback position, the biggest attribute I look at is his mindset. Is he ahead of schedule like Joe Burrow? Does he see things before they happen, like a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning? Like, it's all the mindset because everyone could throw, for the most part. Everyone could throw in the NFL. So I see him, and I look at a guy who's well prepared. I'll give a lot of credit to Kyle Shanahan for having him well prepared to go into the game. And he just looks super comfortable. Like, for me, that's enough. If I have a guy under center who's just comfortable with what we have to do, that's a big deal, And the one thing that stood out to me, too, was when Brock Purdy took over, George Kittle was in the media saying, like, okay, it is our job, the stars, to step up and take over now. Right. We have to step up and do our part. We shouldn't put it all on him having to make all these plays. But he is making plays. So I just when I look at the 49ers overall, I just see a well-prepared, well-coached team. Of course, he's the quarterback. You're going to look at him. You're going to, evaluate what he's doing. But overall, they're just well-prepared. And he looks like he knows exactly what he needs to do when it's time.
Eagles-Niners. So the Eagles have 8 Pro Bowlers and 9 alternates.
Yeah,
the Niners,
right?
Niners have a Pro Bowler in every single unit, every one. So it's about as talented a game as I can ever recall.
No question.
It feels like there were a few Steeler-Raven matchup years ago where you had like 9 Hall of Famers.
Exactly, right.
So I look at the AFC and it's a battle of great quarterbacks, I think the NFC is a battle of great rosters.
Totally.
They're just insane. You have literally potentially 10 Hall of Famers in this game. Go to your career, and you were a very good player. In a game where it was – you're looking around. I mean, Ray Lewis told me a couple of games he'd look around. It's like, man, I met my match physically. And Ray didn't have a lot of matches.
For sure.
Can you go back when you plan these games where it's iconic? I'm sure you had a couple with Green Bay where you knew there's 8 Pro Bowlers on the field, 8 Hall of Famers.
There was a game my second year in Green Bay. We went down to Dallas. It was 2007, and this is when Brett Favre got hurt and Aaron Rodgers came in. And just the atmosphere. One, I just remember how big the Cowboys football team was. You had DeMarcus Ware, you had T.O., we had Charles Woodson, we had Brett Favre. You had just guys all over the place, you knew as a pro athlete it was different. No question. You had, Jay-Z was at the game and, just all kinds of stuff. Like, it was a crazy atmosphere environment. And there was just tons of stars everywhere. And I'm like, okay, this is what it is. Yeah, I'm like, I got to get myself, right. So I had a few games like that, but that was one that stood out right now when you asked that question. Yeah.
I tend to like Phil. I think Brock Purdy's going to be, I think it'll be a little bit of a reality check for him.
Yeah.
I think Jalen's played in more of these big games. Jalen's a more natural. Jalen's a greater athlete. Right. He's a greater player. I think Philadelphia. I just think to myself, you're asking a lot of Brock Purdy. If he was,
you think so?
As a rookie to go to Philadelphia with 17 Pro Bowl players.
He got people to give the ball to, though. That's what helps. And he has a hell of an offensive line helping him. Like, it's gonna be.
What does the Niners offense do? Because I saw you looking at film before you came on.
Right.
It's the power. I mean, even Juszczyk.
Right. Everyone is on deck. Like, if you're dressed on offense and you're a skill guy, you're getting the football. One way or another. Like, be ready. Like, you're gonna get the football. Right now, what I love, and we'll see how Christian McCaffrey feels with his calf, but I love the fact that Elijah Mitchell got healthy.
Yes. And
that's a huge, because he's a home run hitter. When I saw them drafted, I was like, you know what, let me look at his film. And I saw he ran a 4.3. He could hit the home run, and he was perfect for this offense. So that's a 1-2 punch that I like. Obviously, Debo coming back. So they have a ton of weapons. But I will say this about the Eagles. And I know we love cool stories. We love, like the Niners going through adversity, like all kinds of stuff going on. But the one thing we fail to celebrate is, like, consistency. And the Eagles have been the best team all year long, like from jump.
As long as Jalen plays.
As long, but they overall, like you mentioned, rosters though, just built rosters. Like, they have been the best team. Sure, they struggled when Jalen was in the game a little bit, but they have the best roster and they've been the best team. So it's kind of like I almost feel like it's Philly's time again, because they just have the best team and they just know what to do. Like, what they did against New York, they were like, all right, like, it's cool. Like, all right, guys, let's get rid of you guys. Get out of here.
No, I mean, it was like outside of Saquon Barkley, I'm not sure the Giants have a starter on that team.
Giants look like what we thought they were going to look like in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, even Dexter Lawrence would probably start, but the Eagles have really good linemen.
They have like 2 deep.
They're just it's
right.
I feel the Eagles are a Jalen Hurts GM story more than a Nick Sirianni story. Not a shot at him, but these rosters are. I feel the Niners are a defense. I feel the Niners are a GM and a coach story.
Yeah, I mean, Howie got the guys, and Nick didn't mess it up.
Do you have a lean Kansas City, Cincinnati? The video on Mahomes, he's not limping. Full participant in practice. You know this. High ankle sprains. There's grade 1 is mild. You can play.
Right.
He had a 100 passer rating, 108 passer rating with the ankle sprain. So my takeaway is from the video, Andy Reid said the one 4 years ago was worse than now. And the one 4 years ago, after the ankle sprain, 7 days later, he threw for 440 yards. So my takeaway is Mahomes will be fine. You've played with probably a grade 1 ankle sprain at some point, a high.
Right, yeah.
I mean, so I don't think it, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not trying to marginalize the injury. I kind of watched Mahomes fighting on the sideline, like, let me in. And then my takeaway was he didn't want to take that cleat off.
For sure, right.
What is your gut feeling about his injury in the game going into it?
Well, I mean, the one thing is, like, is he able to, step back and throw, plant and throw? Like, that's the biggest thing. And will he have velocity? I think of last year, or even when they lost the Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mahomes running around, scrambling, doing all these things outside the pocket. It's cool, but it wasn't always as efficient as it needed to be. And even last year when they were going through that losing streak, everyone was like, "Oh, they're not going to do well. They might barely finish above 500." They made an adjustment midseason where they just got back to the fundamentals, and Mahomes was dropping back and just dinking and dunking, going through his reads, doing all these things. And I feel like him not being able to run all over the place is something that it may benefit, because he'll be able to sit back and get the football to his guys. That team is built of guys who can take the ball 60, 70, 80 yards. Even Kelsey after the catch. Kelsey is on film catching jailbreak screens and taking them 80 yards to the house. Yeah. So I think it'll just be a matter of efficiency. They have a whole running back room, that can be effective. So, again, it's based on his pain management, but I also think it may benefit him because he won't be trying to do stuff above and beyond. Yeah,
I think they took away, Greg Cosell came on an hour ago and said Zach Taylor in the offseason took away a lot of the deep throws for the Bengals and said, let's lean into Burrow's accuracy, and this is the best Joe Burrow we've seen.
Oh, I just watched the Bills game, and sure enough, I mean, he was beating guys to the punch. Before guys are out the break, boom. There was to be a linebacker right there, boom. He was insanely accurate that game because he's taking a profit, Yeah.
We when you faced a deadly accurate guy,
Drew Brees,
Brady Brees,
I'll tell you right now.
Okay, or the crazy Josh Allen. What kept you up at night? Accuracy or like Lamar or Allen or Brees Brady? What kept you up at night as a DB?
So I'll give you Brady, I'll give you Brees, and I'll give you Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Right? So with Brady, the hard thing going against Tom Brady is that he already knows where you're going to be. Like, he knows, okay, if he's 2 yards outside the hash, he's going to be over here. And it's like, well, you can't trick him, so just play it and play the percentages. That's what's tough going against Tom Brady. Drew Brees, like, you could bear hug the guy, and Drew Brees will find a spot. Like, I was covering, I forget who the tight end was. I think it was
Jimmy
Shockey.
Graham?
It was one of the tight ends in New Orleans. But anyhow, I was draped, and Drew Brees threw it to, like, his right knee, and that's where he caught the ball. And so that was super. I mean, they rocked us. I think it was like 49 to like 10, and he was just deadly accurate. Aaron Rodgers is tough because he can put the football wherever he wants, anywhere on the field at any time, going to his left, going to his right. So it's like when you're going against these teams, like these quarterbacks, you're not so much going like defending the scheme, you're defending the quarterbacks.
Their skill set.
And that's what makes it difficult going against guys like that.
Burrow's very much Brees in terms of he literally can throw every route. Timing, location perfectly.
Yeah,
he's the
but I see. Yeah, but Breeze is more like the Peyton Manning. Like they have their structure, they have their system, they have their things they go about it. Right,
structure.
They're in the command. Burrow is more Brady, just based on the poise, and he's like, I know where I'm going, and like there's nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah,
and so
Buffalo's defense was lost.
They were, because the two touchdowns, the two early touchdowns, the one to Hayden Hurst and the one to Jamar Chase, guys were wide open.
Wide open.
Wide open.
And by the way, it was 27, but they really had a touchdown on the back of the end zone, which that felt like a touchdown.
Yeah, like Jamar Chase was wide open in the middle of the field. Like, there's no way you should have the best receiver wide open. And then on the Hayden Hurst touchdown, 3 guys jumped to Jamar Chase, and Hayden Hurst was wide open in the end zone. So that's tough when, in a playoff game when you lose like that. Like, that's hard.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.